Who is it? Someone here? Hey folks, it's Amy from Colorado Mountain Living, and I'm standing over by the area where our shed was because yesterday I came across an incident that sort of alerted me that we likely had trespassers on the property. Let's see. All of this happened when I came back from walking Vigo out in the woods. You know, like I have mentioned before, our home is really close to the trail. We have a jeep trail that traverses the national forest right behind us. We're only about 100 feet off of the trail. So we do get a lot of traffic, especially on the weekends, a lot of four-wheelers, dirt bikes, hikers. You know, we keep an eye on the traffic. Vigo always alerts us when someone's coming through, you know, especially if he's sitting on the front steps. So we're pretty aware of traffic, but we've, you know, folks don't really get confused. They pretty much stay on the trail. They're not trying to come over to our house or anything. But, you know, it's always on our minds that it's possible. You know, it's very easy access for someone to get to our property. You know, it's not the main road, it's a trail, and it's forested, and it has good cover. So it's something that we probably need to take more seriously because, so I'm standing right where my car was parked. You know, I've kind of kept it out of the way, haven't really been driving much, right? No need to really drive around a lot these days. And we've also had family visiting. So we've, you know, just not really been driving a lot, just kind of sticking close to the house. So after coming back from my walk with Vigo, I noticed something strange where the car was parked. And I've kind of got some of my tracks right here, but the car was parked right here. It was kind of in the shade, and down on the ground was my license plate and my license plate holder. And I thought, well, that's pretty strange. How did that fall off? But then I kind of, you know, I was like, that is too strange. It was, you know, in two different pieces. You would think like if your license plate fell out, the license plate holder might still be attached. So, you know, I was trying to really investigate, right? Did Brian need the bolts for his car because he's getting some car repairs done? So I'm like, well, maybe he needed to secure his license plate, although Brian would never leave my license plate on the ground like that. But I did ask him and check, you know, sent him a message, and I was like, okay, did you do this? This is really strange. And he said no. And I thought, okay, I'm looking a lot more closely at this. You know, what is weird here? Did someone else come over here and take my license plate off? Was it an animal? Could my car have driven over something? You know, could I have gotten wedged, you know, with, I don't know. I just was trying to really think like what could have caused it. But I think when you run these situations in your head, you think, okay, what's the most likely situation it could have been? And I think the most likely situation is that someone came in off the trail, because let me show you. Right around here, this is how we get back to where Brian's putting the shed. And you see we have this perimeter fence, right? It's just a wire fencing. It's not super secure. It's been here though, but we have a gap right here. This is how I cut through to get to the forest trail, which is right there. So the forest trail is, you know, less than 30 feet to our property line. And, you know, I've got a little no trespassing sign, but it's not, you know, it's not hanging up anymore. Probably need to put this in better view. Actually, it's just a sign that I found, but no trespassing. I actually had another one, and it's somewhere on the ground here. You know, to kind of keep it clear, because it might look like to people that this is a side trail. So coming into the trail, you can see how clear it is. This is a very well-used jeep trail, forest trail, going through the woods. But, you know, there's a little bit of a four-wheeler track right here onto our property. And so people might think, oh, here's another trail. It's not that obvious, right? It doesn't, you know, it looks a little bit overgrown, but people might think, oh, you know, where does this go? Although it's pretty clear that it goes to somebody's house because you can see our house right there. So it definitely provides good cover for somebody. You know, it's a lot of forest, a lot of grass grown up. And the fact that my car was hanging out pretty much, you know, 50 feet off the trail, a little bit more, not directly in the driveway. It was just right here on the edge of where the shed was. Could have given someone good cover to try to steal a license plate. So anyway, looking closely at the license plate, trying to figure out a little bit more, it looked like there were scratch marks on there if you look up really close. And then when you look at the license plate on the holder itself, it looks like there are dents, like someone was trying to pry something. So that is my main clue that it was pried off. And also, one of the screws was on the ground. So it was held in by 2 license plate screws, with the star fastener in the middle. One of them was still on the ground. So I don't know what happened to the other one. It could have gotten flung off. I actually took this magnetic roller, rolling around, trying to see if I could find the other screw, but I couldn't. I found the one. But the other one could have gotten flung off, who knows, when the thing came down. So the fact that the license plate was left on the ground lets me know that the person wasn't able to complete the job if they were actually trying to steal a license plate and not just vandalize by taking a license plate off of a car. I think that's maybe a common crime around here is license plate theft. So the fact that it was left on the ground, I think the person may have gotten surprised. Perhaps it was happening early in the morning. They were out for a hike on the trail, and they got this idea, or maybe they've been scoping it out for a while. My car has been parked here for about a week, so it's perhaps that they may have been scoping that out. They may have gotten surprised. Maybe Vigo was let out in the morning. Maybe Brian was going to work. Also, our niece and nephew were here. They were getting ready to go for a hike early in the morning, leaving around 6 a.m. So maybe that person got startled and took off without the license plate, and it was left here. That's sort of the scenario that I've been creating in my head is what happened. So the question now is what to do about it. I don't know. We don't really have proof, nothing on camera that someone took the license plate off the car. So it's not really a crime. So far, it's just the license plate was on the ground, not attached to the car anymore. So that's not really a crime, but it's just suspicious activity. I think the next thing to do is to really set up some security. And so, we've always kind of joked around about where to point the game cam to get the best footage for wildlife. But I think what we'll end up doing is pointing the game cam towards the access, maybe on this tree right here, pointing towards this trail access. It's definitely the easiest way for someone to access our property because there's no fencing. And maybe we put up fencing here. Maybe that's something that we need to do is just put up a gate with a sign that says, private property, no trespassing, violators will be shot or eaten by a dog. I don't know. So that is probably the next step. So anyway, I got to go grab the game cam. It's still hanging on the tree down here by the future workshop shed area. This is definitely a project we've got to get going before the ground freezes, at least to hang up the footers. At least to pour the footers, right? We still need to submit the plans to the county for the design and get that permit. So that's something, if we have a lucky year and we don't have a lot of snow and we're able to build through the winter, that might be a project that we can continue to work on through the winter. So here's the game cam here, just been hanging up. So I'm going to take it down. All right, well, I think that'll do the trick for now. This tree is directly across from the trail access, and it's also directly on our trail here for the path for the shed, and it's right at the corner of the property right here where it faces the old shed area. So I don't think that anyone would be able to come down this pathway without getting caught on camera. Although I'll have to monitor it frequently because that's how I walk Vigo in the woods. So I'm probably going to be setting off that camera quite a bit and I'll have to make sure the camera card, the memory doesn't get filled up. So probably good practice to be checking it, every day, at least for the next week or two, just to make sure I'm not catching anything funny. And I've got one more item to do this morning, which is hanging up that no trespassing sign in a more visible location, just for good measure. It's just so that's really nice and clear and in everybody's face if someone was to walk down this path. Well, the sign is a little bit higher than it was. It was on the ground earlier, so maybe this might make it a little bit more clear for folks that this is trespassing. So, got that. We got the camera. I'd love to hear any more suggestions you might have to secure an outdoor perimeter. Maybe more cameras, maybe motion sensor cameras, or motion sensor lighting. This stuff might have to be battery powered for the time being. But it might be a good idea to kind of start implementing that. As far as the car and securing the car goes, we don't have a garage right now, so we don't really have a place to keep the car more secure, the vehicles more secure, other than keeping them closer to the house. And so maybe just the fact that the car was a little bit off the driveway made it more tempting for someone to try to come and steal a license plate. But, I think this is just kind of a good practice to really consider our situation, that we are close to national forest access, that we have very easy access to our property from that access, and we need to make it more clear, maybe just a house, just make it more clear that repercussions could be had for anyone trespassing on our property. So thanks guys for tuning in. Kind of a nervous situation over here, but one of those eye-opening situations. Luckily nothing worse happened. Luckily, as far as we know, there was no major theft happening. Luckily, our license plate is still here, and it's a situation that's going to help us prepare our property better for protection against trespassers and theft. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Wanted to keep you abreast of that situation. Just happened yesterday, so thanks for tuning in, and we'll keep you posted. Okay.